Okay, well, hopefully this all works then. We always have a little bit rougher luck with the,
Anytime I'm here.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Just anytime it's not me at my computer desk. That's usually the problem. Well, hello to everyone to the Paint and Chat. Of course, I'm Miranda. Got with me the painter Flo, helping keep me company tonight. So I'm pulling up my tab.
Lonely.
I am very lonely all the time. There we go. This is how I can read your comments, because otherwise I have to go over there, and then I won't be on screen, and it's just awkward. How are you all doing tonight? And what are you working on? Because I'm sure if you saw my thumbnail, you probably know what I'm working on.
Well, you know what she's working on.
You know, yes. We don't know what you're working on yet. Let me check on the audience, and then we'll come back to you. So, Lorian, welcome. Jeremy, wow, look at you being here. Early Jay, where's Jen? Is she around? Alexander Douglas, welcome, sir. Gira Lad, welcome. Tiger Bomb, love it. Y'all ready to paint with a side of chatting? I am. Usually, it's more the other way around.
Yeah.
Hope you guys have fun off to work. Bye, Anthony. Take care, man. All right. So, what are you working on tonight, Miss Flo?
Some investigators from Arkham Horror. Or Mansions of Badness. Both, you know. They're all interchangeable.
Are they actually from the same company?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantasy Flight.
Gotcha. I moved the turntable over here so we can show off some stuff. Right here, I've got a Man of War suppression tanker, which I will not be painting. Instead, I'm going to be working on the strike tanker. But this way, you have something to look at. I can show you some other stuff that I have painted if you want to see something pretty. But this is always a pretty model. I think the tanker models are fun. I got to play with them at Valhalla, and it was great.
A couple of investigators, if you like.
All right. So here's some of Flo's other work. Oh, just something like that. That works. Sweet. All right. Paul, welcome. Thank you for being here. Paul, of course, is the moderator, so be nice and make sure his life is easier. Make his life easy. Be behaved. Samuel, welcome. Hi, Wargamergirl and Flo. Hi. Hi, Flo. She's had a long day. We both have. It's been a really long day. Daylight savings has just made everybody tired. And normally it's when it springs forward that it makes everyone tired, but
I'm just
whatever.
Indefinitely tired.
That's fair. Alluring and building a few of those orc buggy vehicles, trying to clear out the backlog of models before anything new. Oh, wow. Well, hats off to you, sir, if you can do that, because that is, I don't know where I'd begin, quite honestly. John Taylor, welcome. David Dog, what are you both painting today? So, Flo is working on the Arkham Horror / Mansions of Madness. They're just the different investigators, right? Yeah. Yeah, so the investigator minis. Some examples of them are here on the turntable. And then I'm working on the Man of War strike tanker, the pew pew man in the suit. So, in the world of Khador, cortexes, which are used to run the war machines, the big actual robots, are really hard to develop and hard to come by. They're rare. So, because Khador is very pragmatic, they decided, why don't we just put people in these multiple 100-pound suits of steam armor and let them, you know, act like warjacks, kind of. They go just as fast. And they're cheaper. So, you know.
Why not?
Practically speaking, just use them instead. This is also one I'm actually sub-assembling. So most of it's assembled except for the arms, which do come off so that I can paint those individually, because there's enough to get, with the shields being the way they are and they're in front, it's really awkward to try and paint under there and you'd be able to see it, I think. So, nah, just not gonna do it. It's just not gonna happen. Siobhan, welcome. Oh snap, gotta get chips. Okay, Atomic Topher. Good things. Painting minis is so therapeutic. Well, hopefully after a long day of work for us, yeah. It's usually nice.
Being around Miranda is pretty therapeutic, so.
Usually we just vent to each other ad nauseum. But, yeah, it's pretty good. I'm relatively therapeutic. I'm hopefully not too stressful to be around until I'm upset. Whatever. Anyway. moving on. I actually was more responsible today and put my beautiful craft paint onto a pallet today so I can continue to water it down and not just work out of the cap, I guess. Maybe that's not the best way to do things. So anyway.
Normally I show up with fancy paints, and this time I'm actually doing what she normally does.
Yeah. She's using craft paints today, so.
Out of the cap.
Out of the cap! That's great. So we're just gonna
Learned
get
it from you.
all the base coats on. Is it like that commercial from, what is it, the anti-drug commercials? They're like, where did you learn to do drugs? They're like, I learned it from you.
I actually haven't seen those because I haven't watched any sort of TV.
No, this is back from the 90s when I watched TV because
I still didn't watch TV, let's be honest.
Oh, okay. That's fair. Well, you weren't missing anything, it turns out. But that's what I think of whenever I hear I learned it from you. Like, well, okay. You're still grounded, you little cretin.
Because that's the word we all want to use. Actually, I had this very cute little girl come up to me the other day when I was handing them pizza, and she was just like, I love you for giving her pizza. I was like, aw, it's good to be loved.
She was probably starving, but that was really sweet.
I would say, you know what, you're cute when I see you, and now I get to leave, and you're not mine.
J. Alexander Douglas, I'm not painting tonight. I just came to check out what your team is up to lately. Our team, well, we've all kind of been a little scattered lately. I know the Media Glitch crew has been on break for a while, but we're going to be at a convention this month. We're going to KanjiCon, and I'll be on a couple panels about running YouTube and running Media Glitch and talking about video games. So that'll be what I'm doing there. And then in February, I will be going to GenghisCon in Denver, which will be cool. I've never been there, so yeah. And then other than that, it's just working on a whole bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff that I hate to talk about because I don't know when it's going to get done. Robert, welcome. Glad you made it, man. Complexity Simple. Hola. Welcome. Gear Lad and Lad. Miranda, did you get the chance to build the Beastgrave minis yet? No. Actually, I had to put them up in order to get ready for tonight's stream. I was like, aw, man. Because I really do want to get them together, but time has been an issue, and not gonna lie, I'm playing a lot of WoW, and it's hard to do both, so they'll happen. I'm sorry. This will happen. It just hasn't yet. Has anybody else put together their Beastgrave stuff? I think you did, right, Jeremy? You had them assembled, more or less. Assembled. Dusty Cartridges. Hey, Dustin. We were just talking about Media Glitch. You're coming with us to KanjiCon, right? It's gonna be so exciting. Get to nerd out with a bunch of nerds.
Yeah. Contrary to the usual.
Usually it's just me hanging out. I'm hanging out on the internet. Yeah, basically the same thing. Popping in to say hi. Well, thank you. I caught the push ad you put out on Facebook, so if you're wondering, it's working. Well, that is good to know, actually. Thank you for that, Alexander. Samuel, I finished batch painting 12 Gene Stealers last night. Good God, man.
That's what I need to be doing, but I just haven't. I finished the Bloated Woman, and I was like, okay, break time. I need a week.
Yes, that's right. You won Scariest Mini recently.
Yes, I did.
Little painting competition at our FLGS. And how does the voting work on that? Do you know?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I never make it to the actual voting. I always show
have to
up
sort of
after.
drop it off and then go to work. That's fair.
Drop it off, go to work, and then show up, and by the time I show up, all the voting's over and stuff.
Fair enough. Well, either way, you won Scariest Mini, but
yes,
it was a creepy bloated woman. Where's the mini from? What is it?
It's Cthulhu Wars.
It is from Cthulhu. Okay, so
Cthulhu Wars, the Masks of Nyarlathotep box.
Cool. I'm not repeating that name.
I probably butchered it, but...
Probably not worse. Sounds like you're going to a bunch of weeb conventions. Just one. And, I know one of the people who run it. Or a few of the people who run it, actually, at this point. So, it's good to support the local community. Some, weebs need to understand tabletop gaming as well. We're going to be talking about video games. It's really not applicable to my channel, but it'll be fine. It'll be fun. And that's just in a few weeks here. Hey kids, Binky the Clown, but just me, RedGreen09. Hi William. Welcome to the chat. At Valhalla, they are base coded now. Oh, good. We should host a convention in March and call it LepreCon. I like where you're going with that, Robert. To be fair, it probably exists. It probably just does. There's a lot of conventions anymore, more than I've ever realized. Like, you could stay busy going to a convention every week, all year, and still not actually be able to go to all of them in all of your fields of interest. Between video games and anime, if you're into that sort of thing, Siobhan, to... whatever. Most anime is terrible. Anyway, to video games, to movies, you will never, ever catch them all. It's crazy.
Just like you'll never, ever watch every movie.
I know. And I try. Speaking of, I saw Jojo Rabbit yesterday. And it's amazing. Absolutely wonderfully told. It's from the director Watiki, who did Thor Ragnarok. So good. So sweet. Oh my gosh, it's such a good movie. So, go see it. Don't watch any previews. Just go see it. Oh, there's some comments in here. What type of brush you use? Oh, you're talking to Paul? Okay. Siobhan, currently painting 3 new Primaris tanks. I'm going to waifu these up. Is there any other way that you do it, Siobhan? Question for both of you. Have you seen the Exorcist and Emulator reveals? Yes. The new Sister Battle stuff with the stained glass background.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Like this person all the way.
I have. Yeah, and I actually saw them on Instagram. They're kind of, for me anyway, I was trying to look up other pictures of them or where they'd been covered, and Google would not show me any results. But Instagram did, so yes, I did see them. They look beautiful. Pretty much without question, I think they look great. So, cool. I think they were doing the vehicles right. The little winged cherubs and stuff on there. It's going to be kooky. Yeah, what do you think of them? I think they're beautiful and worth getting. I'm ready for some D&D next weekend. Oh, nice, Tigerbone. What class do you play in D&D? Stuff we can't talk about. We met at UPublic a year ago about one of your projects. Oh, okay. Well, then you already know. It's still in the works. Forever. Let's see. Going to convention in the U.S. must be as costly as going on holiday to Italy for a European. It depends.
Possibly more.
Adepticon is certainly an expensive convention, right?
I think I'm still recovering from the one like 4 years ago.
It can be a lot. The main thing that gets you about any sort of convention stay is the lodging. So if you can stay with friends or somehow get around like an insane hotel cost, the rest of the event usually isn't bad. And then,
unless you spend way too much money.
Yes. There is certain consumer risks of consumerism. But I don't know. It is what you make of it, because you could go to a convention broke, technically, and
still have a good time.
Right, because the tickets themselves aren't usually crazy. Like Adepticon, the tickets are like, I think this
50?
last year they were like $55 or something. It's nothing crazy. Like, that's not the crazy part. It's the getting there and staying there part. That's the hard part. So, again, if you can figure out lodging, it probably cuts the price in half. The only other thing could be flying, and that could get expensive. I've ordered a Start Collecting Blood Angels set from the Games Workshop. Or from Games Workshop. My Tyranids need a tasty treat. Oh dear. As long as you come to Adepticon. Yeah, I'll be there, Robert. Don't worry. I saw them and they are beautiful to me. I love the stained glass effect. Yeah, Jen's commenting on the emulators and the... was it also an Exorcist? I remember seeing the emulator. I guess the Exorcist is that way too. I don't know that I actually saw the Exorcist. I think I just saw the emulator one. Again, like, it was really hard to find them just doing the Google search. Working but had to say hi. Hi, Jen. Thanks for popping in.
Hello.
I get back to work before somebody catches you. Valerian, the stained glass looks to be so clear, so I wonder if it's pre-colored or if they use glazes or stains to color. It could be like a acrylic sheet that's all pre-colored, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how they're doing it. The price of the vendor room in conventions are high too. Well, but that can also depend, because a lot of times if you're an attendee, you'll get a discount if you purchase from the vendor hall. But that, I mean, that's not always across the board, but it's a big part of how the vendors, or it's a big motivator, I guess, for a lot of the attendees to buy from the vendor hall as opposed to just buying online. Goodness, Siobhan, really? You spent like $2,000 there? Holy cow, man, that's insane. I mean, at least you got what you wanted, I'm assuming. Or you bought one thing at the Forge World booth. Not sure. Patrick, I showed Bjorn the teaser for the Blood Angels guy that had the metal music. He started rocking out hardcore. Aww, little Bjorn. How cute. The next time I see him, he's probably going to be like bigger kid. It'd be weird.
Like bigger kid and it's like
Just
12 inches.
I don't know. He went from crawling kid to, I mean, probably walking kid. There you go. He was kind of walking. He was getting into things when he was at my house. I'm not sure. Can I post links in chat? Yeah, I've actually no idea. You can do stained glass with the neon Sharpies or GW glazes. There you go.
Sharpies.
I bought multiple things from Forge World. Okay, there you go. I bought a Titan for my brother's birthday present. Wow. Oh, Patrick, yeah, Bjorn turned 3 yesterday. My goodness. What age do they start talking back and you have to ground them and take their cell phone away? It's like 5, 6 maybe.
I was going to say, Rory's already there. She's like 5.
Earlier and earlier.
Testing boundaries.
The first time the ad for Jojo Rabbit was like, what the heck? Yeah, it's the movie definitely is an interest. It's just artsy. It looks like an art film, and it is, but it's a coherent art film. Ah, so cute. I am going to attempt to be lazy and use a really big brush to paint all of this base coating. This is going to take a while.
It's your how to paint video all over again.
I mean, we'll just see what happens. It's just a base coat. It's not like I can mess it up. We'll see. There was a Warhammer event in Telvaria, Spain last weekend, and most dudes brought, say, 100 orcs for their army, but one dude for his army brought this one Forge World Thunderhawk. Ah, that must have been awesome. Gunship and 4 Space Marine infantry. Oh, that's great. See, like, orcs seem like a whole lot of fun, but the idea of painting like 400,000 orcs to play a 1,000-point game is less appealing to me. All right, I hope Jason isn't watching this and to yell at me, but I'm using the artillery brush. You know, this is kind of an artillery piece. This fits. This applies just fine. Get the base coating done. My goodness. This is going much faster.
I mean, wonder why.
I mean, it's covering too. It's fine. Oh geez, Siobhan, you also painted. So you bought your brother a Titan and you painted it for him. That's an incredible gift. You're a very generous man. Missed the intro. What are we working on today? Well, Patrick, I'm glad you asked. My dear friend Flo here has miniatures from the game Arkham Horror / Mansions of Madness. She's painting up the investigators. And we have an example of that up on the turntable. And then I am working on a Man of War Strike Tanker. And getting the base coating on him done quick-like with my amazing artillery brush. Feeling very pleased with myself right now. Hang on. So, yeah. And then, are you still Hey, did you and Jeremy already have your, you guys were planning to do oh my gosh, like a tournament thing, right? Has that happened yet? I mentioned this is like way faster. This is great.
It's just like, wow, this is getting done in no time now. Why didn't I do this earlier?
Why don't I do this with all my miniatures? Eek. That's too much. Campaign is this weekend. Oh, good. Okay, so
You didn't miss it.
I want to see pictures from it. Are you still working on stuff for it, Patrick, or is everything pretty well set in place? Oh yeah, I still need to paint the ground. Teehee. Okay, so right now I'm just, again, getting my base coat on my strike tanker. Why is that so hard to say? So that I can use him in Man of War lists. All the Man of War, all the time. Dan, I had such a fun game of Valhalla. It didn't get recorded because it kept getting pulled away, but I kept getting pulled away. But it was
Good, like, let's clarify here.
You just hung around eating food.
I mean,
Playing games.
Valhalla.
It's what it's what you're supposed to do if you're a guest. Basically. Wait a minute. What am I doing? This arm doesn't even be on here. That was on purpose.
Was it now?
It was totally on purpose. I forgot it was attached that way, but nothing is glued on this miniature except for this main part. Sweet Mansions of Madness. I wanted to see the game so bad for many years. So it's hard because Mansions of Madness now is done where you have like this electronic lady that talks to you.
Only for the beginning.
Is it just for the beginning?
Yes, it has one little excerpt at the very beginning.
So you can ignore that and then we could still like record a game and not have like copyright issues?
Yeah, because you're reading off what's going on as it happens.
Oh, okay.
So
well, maybe that's not so bad.
have little blurbs. They'll be like, you know. And then the fish people came.
There's Tau in the Cthulhu world?
No. But there were fish people. Because Innsmouth.
Too many different lores to keep track of, man.
I would say, once upon a time you kept track of at least some of Lovecraft.
Once upon a time.
I'm still not done with all of it. Like, I'll get to a certain point and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to set this book down and I'll come back to it at a later date.
Which is fine. I think that's a perfectly acceptable way to handle.
I am 2/3 of the way done.
Ooh. Through
with
what?
The complete fiction from Lovecraft.
Okay, well then you're doing great. You're doing just fine. You keep doing you.
I shall.
We're getting there. The first Thunderhawk was all metal thing. See one on eBay. Lots of cash for it. Yeah, I remember seeing that. Was it all metal? It wasn't resin? Because either way, it was insanely heavy. Yeah, I guess it was metal originally. It was freaking pewter or white metal or whatever they do, and it was absurd. It was an absurd model. So, you know, it is what it is. Which I guess is absurd, but either way. So far, I think the artillery brush from Baumwick is my favorite.
Simply because it gets the job done fast.
You know, some days you just want to cover a friggin' model. Just get it done. And it's the get her done brush.
And apparently all you need is to do that with contrast paints now.
Huh.
And then all your shadowing is in effect.
Yeah, I've got to give that a shot one of these days.
Same. I haven't tried it either. That's what it's supposed to do.
If you go to the Warhammer store here, I think they'll let you try it out.
Yeah.
If you feel like driving, you know, all the way across town.
I mean, it's a lot closer when I'm hanging out at DJ's.
That's true.
But it's still all the way across town.
Yeah, but then he'll go there and just check that out. Whatever. This is Ellie. Oh, hi, Ellie. Sad you're quitting Warcraft. But I hope you're feeling better tonight. Less gross. All my friends are in my chat tonight. So exciting. Like all the friends I guess I've met personally in person.
Personally in person, huh?
It's been a long day. I'll not have your attitude. Oh wait, I guess that's why I invited you.
I was gonna say, you invited me.
Whatever. I've kissed a lot of time. There will be a lot of unpainted rat guys. Fair enough. Yeah, I definitely want to see videos of what you guys do over there on your tourney. By the way, my suggestion still stands for next Valhalla. Just random plates of bacon posted at random places of the cabin 24 hours a day. I don't know if there's a specific rule against it, but I feel like the cabin would still be mad at me for it.
They're mad at people for everything.
They're so strict. And, you know, I try to be a good person and comply and follow rules. And then they keep making new ones. Honestly, I was shocked that they allowed drones, but apparently they didn't care about that one. Fine with me, but I could see them having an anti-bacon clause.
Anti-bacon, whatever.
Whew. Oh man. I'm running out of like broad strokes here. I'm gonna have to like go back to my little brush here shortly. It's gonna be so hard. I had so much fun with this big massive brush. So great.
You have to go back and it's like those were the days.
Exactly. It's like if you drive around in like a big vehicle for any period of time, and then you go back to like your normal small car. You just feel vulnerable to the whole world. Basically that. Okay. Oh, I have his other arm. I can still paint that before I have to give this up. Okay.
Yay!
Yay. Well, you know, it's boring to watch somebody just base coat the whole friggin' stream. So, let's get that out of the way. Quick jack. Anti-bacon clause. That sounds un-American. I agree.
Yeah.
It does. It definitely sounds fascist. There we go. Basically there. Basically. Alright, well, I'm a big fan of using this big broad brush then. I'll just do that for everything, and miniatures will take like 20 minutes. Oh, great. Even the coverage, honestly, is like not bad. It doesn't feel like it's going on too thin or anything. And I'm diluting the like quite a bit.
Well, I mean, it's also very thick paint.
Is it your experience? You think it's pretty thick? Some of it can be thin. But I guess I know what you mean.
Yeah, I still remember when I first went to like Vallejo paints, and I was like, God, I feel like I've been running with weights on this whole time.
Yeah,
so
you learn
much
with
easier.
craft paints, it just gets easier from there, right? It's like, it's fine, just move on eventually, but it's not a bad place to start learning. One, it's dirt cheap, so yay. But then also, you know, once you get used to other paints and you've gotten the hang of, say, the color theory of it, or what exactly it is you're looking for, where you might be willing to spend $5 or $6 for a pot of paint, then you know that the money isn't wasted because now you have
The know-how.
exactly.
I already had the color theory stuff down though.
Yeah. We're all not artist people. Okay, I get it. You seen the White Dwarf? I've not seen I actually haven't looked at White Dwarf in a while. That Get Her Done brush should be named Larry. That's a good idea. I don't mind Larry here. I get a lot of food, so much for my workout gains. Ellie, one of these days, man. Those sisters tanks will take a lot of detailing. I like the Chaos Sorcerer too. Evening Newt. Hi, Brayden. Guess you know me from WoW. If you weren't telling us what you were painting, we would never know. We can't see it. What are you talking about? It's right here. For us readjusting the bedroom, I would be painting right now. Oh, fair enough. Oh, it's Beefy Boy. Yes, that is the strike tanker for the Man of War, and he has 2 arms. There's one of them. I'm working on the other. You'll need to clear the picture in picture. No, I'm just gonna... Yeah. There you go. I've got a better solution for that. Getting these minis worked out slowly. How's your progress coming along, Flo?
It's coming along, you know, bit by bit.
Bit by bit. Day by day.
These ones are pretty small, so.
Yeah, so you're kind of working on them a little while. Well, let me know when you have one ready for the turntable. Then everybody can be impressed along with me. Mix up this paint. This red I've got, specifically my Kador red, aka tomato red, has definitely been getting old, so having to dilute it quite a bit. There we go. Anyway, that's current progress, so literally just the base coat. On the bright side, the Kadoran stuff, just like their Warjacks, the big Man of War, really are going to be primarily red, and then we put gold on them. Usually you don't even see a face in them. These guys are just in helmets, so get a wash on them. That's huge. Major factor. And then throw some highlights on and you're kind of good. Technically, a lot of the Kadoran models, the big ones anyway, again, if you're not doing people, are pretty...
straightforward.
Right. like the coverage due to their size may take some time, but you're not having to be totally crazy dynamic with your colors unless you want to be. And there's some different color schemes you can go with, and of course that's all you. It's just there's not really like an obligation the way you have with dudes, and they have to look like they have a skin color and clothes.
You're talking about naked dwarves.
Well, yeah, the chosen axes are pretty awesome but even then you had to get their scars on, or their runes that I think look like, they look like scars.
Yeah, well, I did them like scars because I figured that's what they were.
They were a fan of the branding process.
It sure looks like it.
Would make sense. Is DJ playing any? I guess he's been working a lot, but has he played any of the Winds of Magic or the new stuff for Vermintide?
He's been playing Destiny 2.
Ugh.
Exclusively.
Lame.
Like, even when I'm over there, he's playing Destiny 2.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll watch a horror film, because you don't watch those.
Oh, is that your agreement? Alright, you're watching.
At least for, like, October, it was that way,
because you had your Horror Fest.
Yeah.
Because you do your Horror Fest every year. Because that's a thing you do. And I was not participating this year. I'm sorry. Did you watch any new stuff?
No. I want to. Like, there was a list of stuff I wanted to watch, but never got to it. I didn't even make it through my normal stuff.
Fair enough. You get busy. Yeah. Main warrior tank. Oh, yes. Love it. So wait a minute. I know of two of you. You soldier? Because Almond's pretty well decked too. Soon I'll be able to hang out with the cool kids. My warrior's level 55. And I have not been able to get online and actually play anyway since Sunday. And it's probably good because basically Saturday night I played for like 14 hours and was like, oh my god, it's dawn. It's dawn out. What did I do? Then the real WoW memories were coming back. I'm like, oh, this is why I was always tired in college. A lot. I passed everything though. They didn't switch angels for us until the comments about not seeing your work got fired off. Oh, angles. Oh, okay, gotcha. Fair enough. Is that base on that red mech pre-built when you bought it? No, that is actually just a plain flat base you get. It's just my models get based before they get painted. So that is, again, the regular base with Elmer's glue and sand, yeah, with some rocks from the front yard poked in there, and then it's all primed. So that is that way deliberately. Oh dear, I think I'm done with Larry. Love your style for your battle reports. Any advice for a newbie that is starting battle reports? That's a very difficult question to answer without knowing what your background is. So if you don't really mess with like editing normally, then you might try sort of like a banter style, or grab this guy back. Here, you can take a look at my dudes that I did a while back. Oh, actually, I'll put them back to back because they're friends. Haha. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I guess make sure you figure out your game. Try to plan things ahead of time as much as you can. The worst thing you can probably do from like a what not to do perspective is to not plan your stuff and to just say, well, we'll just record and see what happens. Because then you end up with a mess and you're trying to edit it and nothing works. Nothing. So don't do that. What game are you wanting to do battle reports for? That would probably help. You should bring this turntable camera next year for the live streaming, the painting of Valhalla. That's a good point, and I probably should. The live stream painting was a bit of an impromptu thing, however, so I was not super prepared, and I definitely owe big thanks to Aaron for him bringing his live streaming rig there. I owe big thanks to everybody to Valhalla every year. But he's really always very helpful. Sent you a picture of the model I made for Kitty's anniversary present. Ew. Jeremy says the scars are actually Urgold runes branded into their skin.
So they are scars.
Yeah, basically. Sounds good. By the way, Miranda, Vermintide 2 should have an end-of-year thing, and Chaos Bane just got a large update. Oh my gosh. I do need to get back to Chaos Bane. It's like, I even had fun with that game. But man, I just love Vermintide. And then obviously, WoW. So much WoW. So, it's been crazy.
It's taken over her life.
It's been really hard because, you work full-time. Then you have, like, sort of normal life things. And then you get this little sliver of free time. And you're like, well, you could spend this time being really lonely and bored and editing. Or you can hang out with your friends online and go murder dragons. And you're like, well.
It was such a hard decision.
A lot of times I make the work forever decision, but all work and no play. I need to go crazy again. Down Under Blender, how are you all doing today? Good. How are you, Down Under Blender? Are you from the Down Under? Because if so, you're not the only one. In chat. I'm just finishing up my base coating on my happy little Cadoran man. Let's see, I actually printed his card off so that I could know his stats. I hadn't played very much with them, but this would be my first strike tanker and my second suppression tanker because a friend of mine, we're budgies, actually painted up the first suppression tanker I used at Valhalla. So I'll have more of them. So I think this is a great, I don't know, this will be a fun list. I don't know, this might just be what my next battle report, well, if I have Cater in it, will be. Trying to get her boy into playing some War Machine. So, DJ, come play already. Alright. So much red.
But yes.
But yes. But what?
All red.
I'm getting it. I am. Hey, Paul. Huh. Let's see. So, 2-word. Those two with the sword and banner look nice. That's right, they do. That's all me. We want to edit and have little shorter videos similar to yourself. So War Machine is a bit of a complicated game. And so that's why I'm curious about which game. If you're doing specifically War Machine, well, again, if you plan your lists, you can probably make it work. Just, it's a lot of... If you're doing it the way I do it, then it's literally like, okay, you record the game, and while you're recording the game, you're saying everything that every person is doing through the whole process of the game. Normally, a War Machine game will take, 90 minutes to 2 hours, to play. If you're recording it, it's probably about 6 hours. 5 or 6 hours. It's a long time. because then, you know, if you're trying to get really interesting shots. Now, if you're just locking down the camera, obviously that saves you some time there. So that comes down again to whatever you're wanting to do. If you're wanting to have highly edited videos, the way I cut out all of the dead space, then you're going to have to definitely get a lot of shots. But I mean, give it a shot. See what you think of it, because generally you'll find your own workflow with that, because everybody has a little bit different natural style, and you'd rather work with how you kind of naturally want to work. Otherwise, you face burnout. And nobody likes that. So, the other thing is after you've recorded the game, I go through and I actually write a script for everything that happens, so that if there's anything weird during the game, I can sort of research it ahead of time and see if that was actually supposed to happen or if it wasn't, in which case I'll mention it, and then then the script gets recorded, sound is sweetened. I use Premiere actually for the editing. So you can use whatever editing software if you are more of a Mac person versus a Windows person. I'm a Windows gal, so that's what I'm usually using. And then you get to sit for 3 or 4 hours editing. Honestly, when it gets to the final editing part, that's not even the hardest. Like, the hardest always is just all the prep work. Whenever you're making a video, the actual part where you're sitting there just cutting clips together is like the easy part. It's actually a lot like if anybody here sews, like if you've ever made something from a pattern, where most of it is just sitting there like measuring the pattern, making sure you've affixed it correctly to the fabric. Make sure you measure everything again. Double check to make sure there's no creases. Oh yeah.
As soon as you pull out the sewing machine, it's like, okay, it's done.
No. Remember to pre-wash the fabric, then start over and get it all measured on there. And then, yeah, the sewing part like whips out. And that's sort of the editing process too, because again, you're just knitting clips together. That's fine. But your prep work is what will make or break you. And I don't know that I ever found like a specifically amazing workflow for it, especially since I'm kind of always had to deal with older equipment. And so your equipment might, be a factor in that too. So, but everything's getting more and more accessible. Everybody's an editor now, so. We're doing War Machine Hordes. Oh yeah, good luck with that. I mean, it's fun, but it's a lot. Oh, you're from New Zealand. Oh, okay. Well, welcome. Down under. I'll speak to them in my native tongue to confirm. Good day, mate. Fancy a Vegemite Senga? I'm basing my Tyranids with almost the same style, using decorative pebbles bought at Lowe's. Just need to wash them off first. Fair enough. Because Ebro might as well be Australia. Wonder why GW downed Fantasy and then released a video game like Vermintide of a world that no longer exists. Because they'd already just sold the license, and then that game company was just developing the game. Like, they I don't think, care one way or the other. It's me, Winter. Nice. Oh my goodness, sewing is very much that way. Measure twice, cut once. Yeah, no, Jen knows exactly what's up there. It was crazy when I had to make my daughter's cloak for her Raven costume. And making cloaks is even...
Yes.
I'm sorry. Raven?
Yes.
Ah.
Okay. He's not done, but I mean...
Done enough.
Through the wash.
But yeah, and a cloak is even a relatively simple pattern.
That's one of the first things you made.
It is one of the first things I made. And then I made it with upholstery fabric, and it's really heavy, but it's still really cool.
It's really warm, though.
It's really warm. Things that helps. A heat might take a lot longer, but the end results always look more amazing than the top-down dead air style. I agree. The big thing you have to... Well, I mean, and just see what the response generally is. I have typically found that a lot of War Machine players will fall into two camps. As far as like, no, the top down is now I guess the professional one arbitrarily, because now you can just focus on the gameplay. And that's fine if you're practicing for a tournament, but it's boring to watch otherwise. So the style you're wanting to do is a lot more visually interesting, but you may have a split audience as well, because I certainly do. Kitty just finished a dress today. See, there you go, Kitty. Congratulations, by the way. Sounds like you need to ask for more money on Patreon to compensate you for the amount of time you make videos. Well, we'll see. I'm hoping that the content speaks for itself on that, Robert. And as soon as I can get, the KRPGs thing off the ground, I think people have a better idea of kind of what it is I'm really going for. And that might make sense at that point. I just hate to ask people for something without them really understanding what it is I'm working on. And it's really hard to explain. So yes. But I did recently revamp my Patreon, so more to come on that, I guess. Alright, let's get some basing done. This guy has enough red on him. I sew to fix clothes like my pants. Well, sewing's useful for many things, both making and mending clothing. My brother gave me an Earthworm Jim lunchbox.
Ooh.
That is awesome. Did you guys see that Doug TenNapel ran an Indiegogo this year for a new Earthworm Jim comic book? Which I totally bought into, because it's awesome. And I'm a huge fan. So, but yeah, like the comic is available. I think you probably can even still buy it through the Indiegogo. So, if you're a fan of or EWJ, man, give that a look-see. Okay, what am I doing? I need to get burnt umber. Burnt umber will be the color for the bottom, for the basing on this guy. That would be insanely heavy. Now, how many needles did you break? I actually have a heavy duty sewing machine. When I bought my sewing machine, it was specifically for heavy duty because I knew I'd be trying to do cosplay stuff, and so I'm like, I need something that can go through denim and leather and thick fabrics. So it was fine. It just took a long time, and the tie that I made that like goes around your neck, I need to readjust that because it just chokes you. It's not great. It's bad design. Braden agreed. Top down is boring to be engaged in the game. I prefer handheld in-moment clips for turns. You know what's up. And it's just generally visually interesting for anything you're doing. Like, again, unless you're looking for a specific technique and you want to know something specifically being done by an individual, you're probably not watching a top-down game just because it's that entertaining. I mean, maybe. Everybody does something different, I guess, but I don't think that's the majority of the time.
Not my thing.
No, not most people's thing. I'm sorry. Let's be real here. Like, War Machine is struggling a bit, and I don't think the top-down angle is really doing them any favors. So, but, oh, you know what? That does remind me. Hand me that 3D print. Let me show you something I'm working on in order to help the community. So,
Crash.
I know there's lots of people who play War Machine and are big fans of flat terrain. Well, they're wrong. So, anyway, here's this thing. Oh my gosh, it's so massive. This is a 3D model that is still being tweaked and still being worked on a bit. In fact, maybe I can kind of show you a little bit better. It is designed to be a structure that you can use in games. And so the idea is that it'll get finished being modeled and hopefully be pretty and branded, because that's important. Can you see that? Maybe not. Haha, you can. But anyway, finish getting branded and given out so that anybody can have terrain for their table, because it's something I've always struggled with, is finding terrain, and I don't want other people to have to struggle for that. So this is kind of a sort of Iosian influence, I guess, sort of design. Again, just giving it out for free for people whenever it's done. But I don't know what all you think of it. And obviously it's not done. Like, these little pegs here are for more stuff to go on top of it. So the idea is that it'll be a pretty tall piece. So we'll see. Oh my goodness, too many things. I watch them at work all the time in between your War Machine and the 40K in 30 minutes. Oh yeah, that's right, I've seen the 40K in 30 minutes. I'm currently making Earthworm Jim is coming back. Yes, it's gonna be awesome. Back to work. Bye, Jen. Thank you for visiting. And top down during a tournament game is literally 2 people bent over a table covering a good part of the table. Yeah, there's that. Flat terrain is travesty. It is travesty. Why not use multiple cameras? It's just not the considered design because somebody has to be switching between them. It's not going to happen automatically, you know.
So if you have multiple people willing to shoot for you.
That's sweet. Who's doing your CAD work? Just dropped in. Sorry to be late. Hey, Bills, welcome. Yes, need to be graystone stuff. Well, so that is just the PLA filament. It's just a black filament, but obviously, like, it can be any color you want, and then it's going to need painting anyway. And you can just take a texture paint, spray paint, and get it over the edges of that. Filler primer plus a texture paint will do wonders for hiding the little striation lines. Hi, Bills. Are you going to send us all one of those? I'll just put out a link and anybody can have it whenever it's done. Of the things I'm working on. This is someone else working on it. 3D modeler. So the same person who actually made the 3D model for my, the Titan, but also, well, you've seen him on the channel. He has the lore binder stuff, Thomas. But he also did the Clockwork Tower. That was kickstarted back in 2013. Can you believe how long it's been?
I can't.
It's crazy. So anyway, I'm trying to, contribute a little bit more to the community on that. I still think War Machine is a good game and just needs some love. And so I'm hoping that maybe if people have pretty looking models that they've painted, because painting your models turns out is actually an important feature, and 3D terrain, then maybe people will actually be interested in watching games get played at a game store. I don't know, just a thought. It certainly has worked for 40K for the last 30 years, so just saying. Anyway, enough being snarky, yes, enough snarky. Back to painting. Now we're just getting all of the burnt umber worked into the sand on the base.
May I?
No. What?
Well, fine then. I'll just reach across you. I was asking for the brown that you have up there.
This brown?
Yes.
My dear nutmeg brown. Yeah, nut.
I mean, yeah. And?
So nutmeg brown is the color I use to dry brush on top of the burnt umber, and then boom, relatively dynamic ground. And once you have a painted base, the model looks pretty much half painted anyway, or mostly painted. And you get away with a lot by having a painted base, like a lot.
She speaks from experience.
It's true. I thought about taking out the Man-O-War shock troopers I have downstairs that are like base coated, and they've been that way for like 6 years. Oh, I'll get around to you guys. How about I just paint everything else first? Yes, free stuff. How much is shipping? Well, it's free. You have to print it yourself. I'm not printing and sending it to you guys. That's insane. So, y'all gonna have to either have a 3D printer or know someone with one. I can't do that part for you. But again, it will be a gift to the community because I love you guys. And I'm using someone else's time and labor. $40K terrain isn't viable for War Machine. 40K terrain isn't necessarily the same aesthetic. War Machine is like a, what is it, fantasy steampunk, and so the stuff in 40K is usually like
Space.
very sci-fi, factories and stuff. It doesn't quite fit it. You need to have more clockwork items and, again, steam powered things. So no, it's not the same aesthetic at all. If you were like, you could get away with it, I guess, and fake it, but
I mean,
it's
tweak
not
things,
gonna.
I'm sure, but
Yeah, I don't know that you're necessarily getting away with a lot. You could probably do a fair bit with like the Pegasus hobby terrain stuff, but even that, the aesthetic for the Iron Kingdoms world really is like, it is beautiful and it's absolutely worth checking out. So if you see like any of their artwork, you can tell that it's, again, a very different type of artistic style. All right, that's enough with that brush. Whew. Pardon my reach. The Ender 3D is less than $200. Yeah, there you go. There's Lorebinder. You can blame him for this model if you don't like it. But at the same time, it's free, so, you probably won't get a polite response if you actually complain about it. But, yeah, the Ender 3, there you go. That a lot of 3D printers have come down in price so much, and they're so good for printing terrain. I mean, there have been huge Kickstarters that are completely just selling 3D models. So you still have to have a 3D printer to even make use of them. But it's great. Jeremy, I know your brother was in on that one Kickstarter for, I think, printable scenery? That stuff is gorgeous. So, definitely worth it. But I would say if you're really into miniatures and modeling and all that stuff, like, and having models, it's probably just going to be worth it to get a 3D printer. A lot of companies are now coming out with 3D models that you can just print yourself, and it's usually really inexpensive to do. I mean, filament is cheap and lasts a long time. So there you go. There's my the basing on that guy, so you can check out the
check out my dude. He red.
Well, they saw that he's red, but now he's standing on brown ground.
Yay.
Mm-hmm. It's progress. It's a different color. I have yet to see the Tyranid board. That would be awesome. That would be really cool. Did they change many rules in MK3? They changed some stuff, and they didn't change other stuff, and then they said they'll change stuff forever. So what I mean by that is, some models who had really crazy powerful feats, for example, got changed. But not all the ones that had crazy powerful feats got changed. Like Vlad 1 and Sorsha 1, like they kept their same exact feats. They improved things as far as running jacks, because now you have the power-up rule. And so even if you don't assign focus to a model, they'll always have at least one as long as they have a working cortex. That was a good change. You still have a problem with power creep and one rounding and just the game being insanely lethal. And so they never really fixed that with Mark III. And I don't know what the goal is there. So they did some minor improvements as far as like the terrain setup, where they now have like a 6 to 8 piece terrain requirement instead of like 5 to 7 or something like that. It was always like a very small amount of terrain. They've added structure rules, which the original game technically had structure rules, but they just never did anything with them. So now there's structures, which I think is a step in the right direction. And then they have CID, and the big thing with that is they'll take a faction and they will retool it. Like they'll take one faction a month and just work on retooling it, and you can be part of the CID forums and test play and stuff for that. And I think only the particularly competitive players are involved and invested in doing that. And I don't know how healthy that's been. So every month a faction gets changed a little bit. And anytime anything changes in the game of War Machine, you always have to kind of relearn the game because of how everything's balanced off one another. And so it has become a very jealous sort of game. If you want to be really good at War Machine, you're constantly having to play it and constantly having to keep up with CID. So I had to sort of take a step back and say, no, I'll just play the way I feel like playing it. And they also made Steamroller basically exactly the same, and I hate it. Which is just, again, fighting over circles and rectangles. Boring, boring, boring. However, they do have the Oblivion stuff that's come out now, and that's supposed to be a lot more interesting, and I haven't really explored that, so I don't know, give it a shot. If you have War Room, then you already have the Oblivion rules, and you can check those out. They change, like, the theme lists, so, like, with Oblivion, the Infernals have come to reap the souls of humanity because of a pact, like, 900 years ago by Theomar and an Infernal in order to give humanity magic. So they've come to call the debt due, as it were. And so they're fighting against the Infernals, and those models look absolutely stunning. They've definitely upped their modeling game. Those models look like the Archons, Scions, the, even the all Manowar stuff that they've come out with, and the mini crate stuff. Like, they've been doing an amazing job with the models. I just don't know if, like, Oblivion's quite gotten enough interest yet, but hopefully it does. We'll just see. That's my really long answer to that. Let's see here.
Can I trade you for the burnt umber?
Oh, I guess. What'd I do with it?
Thank you.
Whoops.
You keep hitting the table pretty hard there.
You can force the aesthetics on anything. My army didn't fit the setting, but they do now. Yes, Siobhan, that's true. It's just you have to do a lot of work. I mean, the amount of time you put into your models is more than most people. I don't know that everybody's necessarily excited to do that just to make their 40k terrain compatible with War Machine. Let's see. Sorry, but that center video block is terrible. Sorry, I don't like it. Maybe it'll change next time. I heard the resin printers are capable of finer detail. That is true. Resin printers are definitely capable of far more detail. They are going to cost more, which should be expected. And they're a little more maintenance. Yeah, like...
Depends on what you're wanting to print. You know, if you're looking to more like terrain, something...
Oh, PLA is the way to go if you're printing terrain and stuff.
But like...
Miniatures. Actual miniatures you're going to want.
Something finer detail.
Mm-hmm. So, that is what it is. But the thing about resin, and I don't really have a lot of experience dealing with them, just from any research I've seen on dealing with resin printers, is you are going to have to be really up on cleaning the resin bed after using it, not letting it sit very long. But they seem nice. Seem nice if you're wanting to make little figures, little dudes. I think a lot of the Kickstarters and stuff right now that are actually selling 3D models for 3D printers probably mostly specialized in the filament side. There we go. All right. Well, that is still drying. Let's get some gunmetal on here. That, I think, seems like the appropriate next step. We've only been painting for like an hour.
Really?
I know. Well, an hour 10. So, metal. Metal on metal looking things. Okay, we can do that. Whew. The other thing is I don't use straight gold on any of the Cadoran stuff. I actually start with my nutmeg brown or just a brown base.
And then
I dry brush. I dry brush that stuff on there because then it gives a nice, like...
Weathered.
Yeah, like a more rusty or aged gold look, aged brass look, rather than shiny gold, which can be a touch garish. if you're not
So
careful.
perfect for blood angels. Just kidding.
Well, it's perfect for sisters of battle too. I mean, quite honestly, there are certainly models that are good. Yeah, that it's appropriate for. So it's not necessarily like, do you like the color, or as much as is the color appropriate. You have anything you want to show off on the turntable yet?
Just a few minutes.
Okay. I will put this guy that I started base coating the other day and have not gotten back to. That's Dragos Dragovich. He's an attachment for
Weren't you
War.
working on him last time I was here?
It's possible. I don't remember. I mean, it's still very possible.
That wasn't the other day.
Oops. Currently in development, yeah. They've relaxed on CIG. Well, good. They're only doing it semi-annually now, so well, that is very good then, because it was bananas for the longest time. It was absolutely off-putting for them to be doing it so often. What hurt for me is pre-measuring Mark III. Loved the skill level of guessing things in range, because now everyone just pre-measures from threat range and stays back to shoot off the board. There's something kind of like irksome about playing against somebody who's like has their measuring table out and they're like, what's your threat range? And you're like, like 10 inches. And you're like, 10 and 1/8 inch. And set the model down. You're like, whatever, dude. It's not interesting. It was not done for new players. It was not. So I agree with you. I wasn't a fan of pre-measuring, and I got heaps of crap for that. So whatever. At least they didn't do what they did and went where they changed the entire game and all its cards. Well, they did change all the cards. In fact, you have to download them off the internet now. But yeah. The Oblivion book is pretty good, but I've only been able to barely play any. Fair enough. Age of Sigmar with steam pipes. Yeah, there you go. Age of Sigmar trains steam pipes and cog glued all over it for warm hordes. I mean, approximately. So, there's garish steampunk. Don't get me wrong. It's actually one of the things I specifically like about the Iron Kingdom's world is that it's steampunk without being like that really silly kind of steampunk where, you know, you go to, and not to rag on this, because if you like it, you like it, but I just don't, so I'm going to sound like I'm ragging on it. It's like when you go and you find these vendors at conventions or whatever, and they're like, oh, we have steampunk stuff. See, it's a top hat, and a whole bunch of, like, cogs and stuff have just been glued messily onto it. It's steampunk. And you're like, I guess. It's just really decorative. Whereas, like, steampunk would be, no, it's if we had the steam engine instead of, like, a combustion engine to progress for, you know, to be the backbone of, like, the modern age of technology. And, you know, in the world of War Machine, it's basically like Civil War, little maybe French Revolutionary War kind of level of firearms and such like that. But you want the cogs to look like they are turning something, and for this machine to look like it could do something, like capture the imagination that much. And in the case of War Machine, it does do that, and it's gritty, and it feels like a lived-in world, and it feels like a world that you might want to live in, unlike the 40K world where everything is miserable. So they have a lot of things going for them. It's not just, oh, there's, you know, goofy-looking cogs everywhere and pipes that do nothing. Like, that is not what it is. I'm in Aurora, guys. Make me think of elementals from Battletech. There you go. Brayden, they said most of the reason the pre-measuring is gone is because it was more or less the only game that still didn't allow it, and the new scenarios coming around as they are. I don't know. They just, I think they caved is all they did there. But I've been struggling with base design as Tyranids would eat any vegetation. Finally settled on a stony desert. That works. Oh, the Manowar figures make you think of elementals. Gotcha. Built terrain out of pink foam. Oh, goodness. That's not fast. Are you kidding me? One, you're having to like draw everything out onto pink foam and like carve it out and build it up, or layer it. I mean, if you can just have like a 3D model that you just fire and forget, come back to work, from work at the end of the day, and it's like a piece that's ready to paint. I would do that any day of the week.
You do that.
I do that every day of the week. And I have foam buildings and foam stuff too. But, if you're the type of girl who might drop a tape measure on things, you don't want to have dented terrain either.
I saw what you did to your cane.
Yes, nothing survives me. I get it. But that's the other thing. 3D printed stuff is actually really hardy. In Kill Team, there have been plenty of times my opponent has been a faction I didn't know, but I never asked their weapon ranges. It would just feel weird. Oh. You touched on a good point. I think there are perfectly livable worlds in 40K, but they never get a mention. I don't know that the Imperium's found them, because as far as I can tell, anything that's ever talked about are the hive cities and factory worlds and mining planets and moons. Like, if there's a world that's just like regular Terra, like Earth, out there that's, has forests and oceans and all that, I don't know that it's necessarily under the jurisdiction of the Imperium. I feel like it's just super far away, hidden from anything the warp has found yet.
On purpose, I'm sure.
I'm sure it just happens to be that way. Like, you just get lucky, right? 'Cause you can't really move your planet. You just happen to have not realized that was a world. That was how the Knights actually kind of came into the fold later. Like, these were found worlds. So. See you, Patrick. Thanks for popping by, man. The agriculture worlds, but they're for growing food for hive worlds. Yeah, see? The best planet to grow up on in 40K is an agriculture world. See, and at least, like, in the Iron Kingdoms, yes, it's one world. It's just Kane, which is the name of the world. And it's your home. It's everybody's home. And, sometimes it's really scary and dangerous. But a lot of times it's super cool. I really, really, really fell in love with the world. It's definitely a huge factor for my continuing to play the game. It's not what attracted me to the game initially, because obviously I didn't know the lore, but...
No, you were like, robots.
Yeah, big stompy robots. Murder, murder, murder. Kill, kill, kill. It was great.
Classic Miranda.
It was great. It was fun. And I got to play the biggest and strongest of all the robots, which really appealed to my 5-year-old side. So, it just...
It's very Miranda.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if there's a better way to do this.
Better way to do
This painting business. I'm going to try with Larry again. I had a shiver run up my spine thinking about dropping a measuring tape on terrain. Well, some of us have to make contingencies for these things, okay, Samuel? Just saying. It's hard to be careful. The problem with a sandbox world is that you eventually hit a wall, like Warhammer Fantasy Battle did. You think they really hit a wall, or you think they just wanted to go in a different direction? Because I don't know, man, like... We still haven't even run out of stuff to discover on Earth. So I feel like you'd be really hard-pressed to run out of things just by sticking to one planet. Like, I don't know that that's the reason. Oh yeah, this is much better. Good job, Larry. Yay, Kane is secretly God. Well, not Alistair Kane. I really actually liked him after Kane's Hellslingers, but you know.
Here you go.
Ah, switching you out.
He's so tiny.
Oh, that's after the wash, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
It's before I bring anything back up.
Well, I mean, it's sort of a dark, grimy city, right?
Yeah, but I still, like, these guys, they're brighter than that.
Okay, that's fair.
I really don't want to have to redo anything.
Fair. Alright, so you will stay brown. But we need to let that wash settle a while anyway, so you won't be able to bring him back up for a bit. It's the downside to using washes. I mean, I don't know if it's a downside, but you know what I mean.
That it's not, like, super fast drying, like regular acrylics.
A world super far away, world no one has noticed, you know, where there would be Necrons buried somewhere. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, maybe they won't wake up. There are jungle worlds where the local fauna find humans very tasty. Oh, jeez. They hit a wall. They sacked Prague about 5 times and had multiple ever-chosens. I mean, it just sounds like they're out of imagination. Looking good, Flo.
Yay!
GW kept changing the fantasy rules in the army books. Then the army books to go with the new rules, which is typical. I mean, that makes sense. I don't know that that's bad. I know not everybody is of this opinion, but I do think that it makes sense for rules to reflect the lore, the rules for the models that you are playing to reflect, say, the lore of the game that you are representing. That makes sense to me. And so if stuff's changing in the world, the rules reflecting that does make sense to me, unless I'm missing something in what you're talking about. There we go. Damn, this brush is just a champ. There we go. Getting our trim in. That Mansions of Madness detective is nice.
Why, thank you.
Thoughts on GW teaming up with Marvel for 40K comics? Sure, why not? I have zero expectation out of it. The only thing I'm honestly curious about as far as 40K leaving its normal gaming sphere, I'm curious what Eisenhorn is going to look like. And we'll just see. But, I mean, as far as the comics, I'm unlikely to read them. I don't know exactly who the audience is going to be. I don't know if it's because they're trying to get kids to more into 40K. They have the cartoon and the adventure books, which are actually pretty cool. I don't know if anybody from that team is going to have any say in what happens with the comics. I haven't read a Marvel comic in ages. Like, the last one I read was a reread of my old Dark Phoenix saga because I liked that, but that's kind of old. Like, I'm pretty sure the story's older than me, actually. Three editions in like 7 or 8 years, and then the management changed, and that's when they decided to go in a different direction for profits. Maybe. Night, Robert. Thanks for hanging out, man. Have a good night. Absolutely. Rules and lore should match. It helps the immersion factor. Most people who like Warhammer 40K lore actually read books, not comics. Well, I mean, to be fair, though, have they really had access to comics to read before? Because I don't know that those are mutually exclusive. It's just, I have no idea who's going to be in charge of, say, the comics. And it's not like all the books for 40K are exactly brilliant. You know, there's always some that stand out way above the others. And so, are we going to see that with comics? Is it going to be like just one story they're doing? I don't really have enough information. And we'll just see. We will just see. But that's sort of my sentiment on a lot of that stuff, is just wait and see, because well,
What else can you do?
Well, what else can you do? But it's like, it'll be here before you know it. Like, I never feel like I'm waiting very long before the thing I hear announced is finally out. Even if it's announced, like, a year or two early. I'm like, oh, well, that'll happen tomorrow. Need a Gloom miniature game. Oh, like the card game? Gloom is so cute. I learned about Gloom from my mom.
I have Gloom.
Yeah, well, so does my mom, it turns out. She's quite a fan. It's a cute game.
It's definitely something your mom would like, though.
It is totally up her alley. My mom's super goth. But, I don't know how that would translate to a miniature, because it's storytelling, right? Like, you have to sort of justify the picture you're seeing in the Gloom card, right? That's how it works.
I mean, that's the reason why I have trouble finding people to play with, is that most people are sticks in the mud and they don't like doing that.
It's like finding somebody to go sing karaoke with you. And you're like, it's gonna be like one friend.
I don't have any friends that would do that.
I'll do that.
You would?
I would play Gloom. Heck yeah. Played with my mom.
Karaoke.
Oh. I might do karaoke. I used to be more shy about it. I've since gotten over many shynesses.
It's like, if we're gonna see these people again, maybe here.
Even then, whatever. It's sort of a life's too short thing to worry about when somebody thinks of your singing. Like, I've been hearing opinions of me on the internet for like 7 years now. Pretty desensitized. Like, oh, you don't like that? Okay. I'm gonna do it.
That's very sad. Unfortunate for you.
I'm sorry you feel that way. The Horus Heresy books are pretty good, and I do need to check those out. Right now, I actually have a bunch of 40K books that I have as ebooks. And I have my little e-reader, and I got all into reading Katie and Blood, and then I got busy, and it's been really hard to get back to. But it's interesting.
And then you got busy, and that was the end of that.
That was the end of that, but I can come back to it. I like to call it where I BitTorrent books, because I'll read like a little bit here, and then I'll come back to it later. And I'll read in like small little snippets and manage to like keep the story together. And I'll do that across like different types of books too. Like I could be reading concurrently, but yeah, I haven't done it in a while. Oh, karaoke friends are overrated. As an Asian man, I was required by law to have a few. It's fair, Siobhan. I'm in for karaoke anytime. Jen's all in. Let's do this, Jen. First karaoke, then she'll release her greatest hits CD. One song. I'm used to the fact that I can't sing, so I just drink and pretend I can. See, there you go. If you like to sing, it's either karaoke or church choir or your car.
Car, shower, rock band.
I played rock band once.
I still have it.
Yeah, well, my car. I'm sure whenever people are in traffic, they're like, oh my gosh, rocking out. Just for a Gloom laugh. Indeed. The only song I've ever karaoke'd is Save Tonight by Eagle Eye Cherry. Oh, Paul. Your mom is cool. My mom is cool. She's very
Mom
cool.
is very cool.
Generally cooler than me. I was definitely the kid whose friends, who I insisted on having older friends than me because I hated kids my age. My older friends came over and hung out with my mom.
It sounds very familiar.
Yeah. Or the shower too. See, yeah, Jen knows what's up. Don't stop believing. I miss rock band with my brothers. I actively left a pub once to avoid karaoke. I know I can't sing very well, so I leave it to shower and to annoy my WoW guild on Discord. You sing on Discord? That's brave. I wouldn't sing on Discord, so it's my guild mates. Like, you gotta front. You gotta be like impressive and be like, no guys, I know what I'm doing here. I can't, if I'm singing, like, I feel like that undermines everything. Archeon was and is the only playable ever chosen. Fair enough. I once danced to an Olivia Newton-John song across a parking lot after midnight. At least that's what people said I did. I've never known anyone's parents that play even cool light games, like say Munchkin or Talisman. Yeah, my mom was attracted to the aesthetic of it. And, for her, she was like, meh, okay, well, I played that. That was fun. And then, like, since moved on. But, yeah, she was totally into it for that small little bit of time.
My family always liked games, so.
We kind of had a board game night once a week growing up for a while. That my mom made a point to sort of maintain. But I don't know that everybody in my family was necessarily into games. I mean,
I'm not gonna say like my entire family was, but like my mom and my grandfather definitely were.
Yeah. There you go.
Of course, you know, for us it was like card games and stuff because
Archeon is chaos undecided. I love that statement. Zing. Alright. Now for the part where we paint all the little trim. So much little trim. Oh, hello, trim. Now I do need the small brush. That's fine. Although I'm not being nearly as precise as I should be with it. Getting all hurrying. There we go. Jay worked on me for years to get me into games, and I didn't realize there were other gamer girls out there, you know, that actually play. Yeah, you know, they do exist. It's just in small quantities. And I mean, usually there's someone's significant other or whatever. That happens most of the time too.
I feel more sorry for the ones whose significant others don't get into it.
I feel bad for people whose significant others hate it. Like, I legitimately know somebody at my local game store whose wife left him because he was too nerdy and played games instead of going out to strip clubs. That was that toxic relationship. It's like, that's just the worst. And I know that's not uncommon. Like, I don't have any doubt in my mind. I mean, but if you think about it, there's a lot of this hobby has generally been for folks who have, at least at one time or another, felt socially rejected. And
all my life.
and, yeah, so it is what it is, I'm afraid. Gamer girls are kind of like shiny Pokemon. Shiny Pokemon, huh? Slaves to Darkness is getting an update, so that means Archeon is going to be a beast. There you go. May I ask a somewhat personal question? As a female, do you feel actively left out / pushed away from hobbies and games? No.
Fuck no. Oh, sorry.
Wow. Strong no. No.
Oh, wait.
Now, admittedly, I am not the most attentive or highly sensitive person. So if somebody might have been, like, hinting at something, I wouldn't have known. But, no. If anything, I've only ever known people who are like, what? Really? Let me invite you some more. If anything, you probably have to worry more about people being, like, overly excited. Like, okay, calm down there, Sparky. It's cool. So, no. I know other people have said they've had that experience. I know nothing of it. So, sorry. Well, not sorry. My experience is way better.
Can I use your wash?
The Nuln Oil?
Not the Nuln Oil, because I have your full Nuln Oil.
I have 2 other washes. I learned last week that I have Seraphim Sepia. There you go.
It's better for the skin.
Yeah, that's what they told me on the stream last week, too. And Jen agrees, no, not at all. So Jen's also one of those awesome lady gamers. The decline of the video game industry has driven me to this hobby. Most AAA titles suck now. Yeah, and I know there's a lot of Call of Duty fans, but I really feel like that game is part of the start of the downfall for most video games. Just becoming really... whatever that type of game is, just really attractive.
Shooter and not story-driven.
Well, maybe it has to be both, because I remember first-person shooters like Turok Dinosaur Hunter, first-person shooters like GoldenEye.
Like, those were great because they had story, but I don't feel like there is story anymore. I think it's all about
Well, I understand the
player
Call of
versus
Duty
player.
has it. Maybe it's the player versus... But, I mean, it was hilarious in GoldenEye to fight each other.
But the difference is that when you're playing GoldenEye, you were sitting next to each other.
Well, you know, there's that.
It wasn't like
There's
the
that.
internet, like...
That's a
the
good
screen
point.
between you.
Very true. Very true.
And
If anything, I think the real challenge is finding good local communities, thus online presences. Yeah, exactly. Jen knows what's going on there. I have to report on women's issues a lot in sports, with some sports now playing women same as men. I know what you mean about the hobbyists being too excited by ladies. Arkan has always been a beast. He has a crown of domination, the Slayer of Kings, the Eye of Shirlan, and the Armor of Morkar. He's got a lot of stuff. Like, tiered out and decked out in raid gear. Dave Dog, here in Spain, the main Wargamergirl is Tank Girl on YouTube, who is amazing with her Warhammer 40k armies and painting. The GW shops in Madrid are pulling in lots of girls with the painting and AOS. And yeah, I can see that. I mean, the AOS models are very gorgeous and very intimidating. And so if you're more into the painting side, I could definitely see that being attractive. Cyberpunk 2077 will be the make or break for AAA, I believe. If it flops, that no one will ever be that hyped again. Maybe. It's amazing how short folks' memory is for games. Or movies, for that matter. Chaos Undivided is like a jack of all trades. Suppose so. There's like two conversations going on. Okay. Where's the rest of this? So you are also... that can be metal, that can be metal. Maybe make that brass. Unless I need to make it brown. I don't know. Let's get some gunmetal on here. Let's bang this up a notch. Here's me just getting sort of the lining in on that piece, which again is the brown. And then that will be dry brushed with a gold and look pretty. It's basically the goal. How do I want to approach this? Well, that's definitely a fair bit of metal. Let's try this. My gunmetal is starting to get a little dry. Oh well. Let's see. A few years ago at our local wargaming club, had a female newspaper reporter attend one of our cons. I was amused by the crowd of guys that followed her around like kids chasing a butterfly. Wow. Well, you know, again, you are talking about a hobby that has largely attracted, and again, not everybody, but obviously a fair majority of people who have been socially rejected. And boys who are socially rejected by women. And when that happens, you know, they're just really happy when someone's being nice to them, probably. So be kind. Oops. I need to get this thing diluted a little more. Back to work. Jen, you've said that like 15 times. Are you really? Good night, y'all. Bye, Jen. Take care.
Night.
Blue or red visors on my soldiers' helmets? Well, red, obviously. Jeremy, come on. I'm obligated to provide that color as the only choice. Let's see, you can be metal.
Okay, like you can be metal.
Well, I have to give it permission, obviously. Like the miniature knows what it's doing. Let's see here. I just hope that CD Projekt Red haven't gotten complacent. There were reports of problems with managers and developers, I remember, during the tail end of Witcher 3. That is also getting its own TV series now, isn't it?
Yes.
That'll be interesting. Yeah. Paul votes blue. Paul would vote purple, honestly, because I know you, Paul. And it's sort of a mix between the two. So, I mean, if you want to compromise, just put purple helmets on them, Jeremy. I don't know how to people. Sorry, Paul. Even if it flops, I'm going to play the holy hell out of it. I'm just scared of CD Red turning into Bethesda. I think you mean Bethesda. Yeah, I can see it. I guess they really fell out of favor. People were huge fans of Bethesda and the Fallout series and all of that. Those fans were super diehard, and it's so sad that everybody seems really upset with Bethesda now.
I mean,
I
Bethesda did it to themselves.
I guess they did. I mean, at the end of the day, that's just something they have to own, but... And I say that as somebody who doesn't particularly follow what's going on. Like, the games definitely had some massive flaws that there really didn't seem to be any reason for. And so, that's just not being very kind to your player base. But I don't know, Sony got away with that forever and a day. They're like, this machine half works, PlayStation 2. Here, we'll just put it out on the market and let the consumers play test it for us. Fallout 4 made megabucks and Skyrim on Switch did also, but Fallout 76 just sucked and still sucks. They never got it to work better, or
no,
were people
they made
just
it
done?
worse.
They made it worse? How?
Made a lot of stuff dependent on transactions.
Are you serious? They went the microtransaction route?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Say what you will about WoW.
To the point where
They
apparently, people started attacking people who were top tier paying for it.
Oh, well, yeah, because at that point, you know, you're sending a message, right? The pay-to-win scheme definitely does not go over well with the gamer crowd. That's horrible. Jeez. I think they'd know better. Let's see, do I want that to be metal? That can be red. That's fine. This
When people are angry because they should know better. But
well, keep in mind, like, you're always getting pushed in one direction. As a consumer, you're always getting pushed. And so some things are more obviously wrong, like when Microsoft, I think, got booed at E3 when the Kinect camera could not be turned off on the Xbox. But I think the one that they have now is just that way, and people have kind of grown to accept it. Because, you know, there's pushback, but then they just keep doing the stuff you don't like until you're sort of desensitized to it, and then they get away with it. And so you sort of have these snapback moments where you realize whatever's happening is wrong, and it is. It's just hard because it's happening regardless. Like, there's not... Like, the only lesson the game companies usually take from that is, oh, we'll just try again later. Well, yeah. And that's where it gets really awful. So... They've got like a $100 a year subscription for Fallout or something, and it's broken. Good night. That's horrible. The box that stores your stuff you get by paying $100 a year deletes all your stuff. Oh, jeez. Oh, no. Is there a tentative date as to when we may start seeing some battle reports or other produced videos from Wargamergirl? All I can say is eventually, man. Like, I've got a lot of stuff that I'm working on. In the new year at the hopefully before the new year, but otherwise in the new year. Not to be like all vague about it, I really don't know. A lot of it's like, where am I putting my time right now? And I am but one person doing a lot of things, including trying to have a painted army. So I appreciate your patience. All I can say is it will happen. That much I can guarantee. I just can't say a time frame. Like every time I do, something explodes. So I'm just not even gonna risk it. There we go.
And now he's brought up a little bit. Not a ton, a little bit.
Okay. Let's show off that guy.
I mean, he's been up there before, but whatever. Can I have the other guy?
You may. If I didn't have the willpower that I have, AOS would have smashed my wallet. Oh man, really? The problem with the Bethesda role-playing games is that they've been using the same rubbish game engine for 17 years. Oh, that's fair. That arm and shield looks so sad all by itself. I know. I'm working on it. It'll be better soon. Imagine if the bank in World of Warcraft deleted all the raid gear you put in there while you went to PvP. Yeah, no, I mean, I'd quit. Miranda, how did your crackle paint go? It's terrible! I only ran a test on it, and it didn't do anything I wanted, so I'm going to have to find out a different technique. So, sorry, I haven't shown it off yet because it's horrible. I'm not going to show it. I remember No Man's Sky getting promoted by this cheeky Irish leprechaun guy with shifty eyes and a beard. Ha! The cape definitely looks nice. Well, that's just his jacket, right?
Yes, it is. It's his jacket and he's running forward.
Right.
His trench.
2 guns in hand. He is after whatever eldritch horror is there. Jeez, this freaking gun is crazy. What's the name of this gun? A slug cannon? Mighty. See, and so, alright, I'm going to give you an example as per the steampunk conversation earlier. Let's take a look at this guy, right? So, he has piping that actually runs along this gun, and it comes up into like it's a manifold, I guess, over the barrel of the gun, which looks like it could be a heat sink or a way of pushing power into the thing. That is appropriate steampunk because, oh, well, it's a pipe. But it looks like it does something. It doesn't just look like it's sitting there in a decorative fashion. So that's why other steampunk bothers me. All right, we can go back to looking at the happy detective man. I mean, I don't know how happy he is. He's obviously in a hurry, but... All right, 12 minutes to go, Flo.
Alrighty.
How's your progress coming along?
I mean,
You've been having models to show.
just the 2, but they're close to done, so.
That's good. I painting metal. A lot of metal.
Heavy
Gold,
metal.
that can be gold. That will be silver. Let's make this business silver. There we go. Jacket, my bad. Yes.
I mean, it kind of looks like a cape with what he's doing, so.
That guy with the cape and the 2 guns reminds me of the Question superhero. The Question? I don't know what that is.
I know of and have seen pictures, but that's about it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So I know what you're talking about, at least.
The question, that's not a face I could paint.
I mean...
How'd you do the face? Was it mostly a wash? Or did you actually paint in the details?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Like, base coat, adding the wash, deepened all of the shadows, and then I brought stuff back up.
Okay, cool.
To kind of highlight.
I gotcha.
I did these with the better paints, and so I think they just came out a little bit.
See that little bit of shade you were throwing at me there? It's okay. I'm not offended.
It's just hard to use these paints for faces, man.
That's true. I actually don't use these paints for faces.
You've got
I have a Vallejo. Yeah. Or Citadel. You just gotta, that grain, man, that texture's not gonna work. Everything else sort of hides under a black wash or a wash, but you may not use a wash on a face always. Like, generally for girl faces I won't. Painting pipes. This is fun. Oh, the question looks like Darkman. Now that one I know. I know Darkman. Sorry if you responded, but how did the crackle paints go for those dust miniatures? It was terrible. I did answer, but just to reiterate my rant. I did not succeed. I did a test on it, so I haven't actually harmed the miniature, but it did not, it just provided these weird like hairline cracks, and I tried it a few different ways and I kept just getting that result, so I'm a little bit back to the drawing board on it because I need the cracks to sort of match what the other models look like. So I will maybe try again after a little bit more YouTube research, or just try a different type of crackle. But yeah, that one I did not have much of any success with. And I thought I would. I was going to be so excited. Then no.
It had to ruin all your plans.
Just had to be difficult and inconvenience me. That's why you have the never done pile, because you'll finally, or at least I will, like this one little bugaboo bit where you're like, I just need to get this one thing done, but it's a pain. I'm not excited to do it. I'm just gonna put it off for years. Surely I'm not the only one who does that. You manage to always get your stuff painted, like fully.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I mean, heartache ensued.
Well, yeah, I guess there's something to be said for just working with something until it's done. And if I'm in like a video issue with that, like editing something, I'll work through that until it's done. I guess I just don't have the same stamina for painting the miniature. Like, alright. I'm gonna go do something else now.
Can't really blame you.
Alright, so we're starting to get some little bits on here. You can see where this would take a while because you're just having to kind of cut out pieces and color them in. Also, thank you as always for sharing the stream. Wonderful to sit and chat with like-minded hobbyists. It is fun. I always enjoy hanging out with you guys. I hate Citadel Crackle paint. Is it bad? I've never tried it. Like the stuff I have is Art Deco or Deco Art or something like that. Played my first game of Call of Cthulhu. First encounter, lost sanity points. On my way to going insane. Yeah, it's really hard to beat any of those games without going completely crazy. Or dying. Or being betrayed, I hear. Flo.
It happened once. And then you went and did it a different time, and I'm still the one who's to blame.
It's fine. This Living Strath run. Woot, so much orbs. I need to get into Living Strath. I think that I mentioned this last week, but Vallejo actually has a Crackle medium for paint, which I was amazed by. Yeah, you did mention that, so maybe I'll give that one a shot. Just go online and order that. So I'll give it a shot if you think it works. So that the crackle doesn't seep into the cracks. If I'm painting a mini I'm not enjoying, I make mistakes easily, so I wait until I'm ready, and that can be never. There's a happy medium you have to achieve with the amount cost ratio, and the amount to cost ratio is terrible. Oh, are you talking about the AOS minis? Because I could definitely see that being a little bit of a challenge. See, this is a cool detail on this guy. He's got on his hip a ring, like a big heavy metal ring. Like this is how you'd probably hoist the suit up. I really like these little details. And it's funny because if you're not painting them, you probably don't even notice them. And as somebody who was awful about painting her miniatures for a really long time and pawned it off every second I could get, I've grown to really appreciate it. And then like the hangout time is nice too. It's more calm. You can talk about anything while you're painting instead of like when you're playing it's just a little bit different. You're kind of on point a lot. And especially if you're playing War Machine, because then most of your talking is just describing what you're doing. Although I had a couple of really great games of Valhalla, like really, really fun games. So that kind of revivified my interest again. That was nice. $9.27. Well, I think we're just about there, guys. Getting dark paint into your perfect bright yellow paint can be a heartbreaker as a mistake. Yellow is terrible for going over dark colors. Oh man, yellow seems like the hardest color, like much harder than white even. You are awesome. Thanks for doing this. Well, thank you for hanging out and enjoying it. I'm glad you did. I guess I'll just put in the final hobby progress for all of us here. If you want to put your whatever you're working on, darling.
Moment, please.
Let me see. I'll get that a little better.
I took off his eye.
Why do you do that?
Wasn't on purpose.
You took off his eye? I did that. When I was painting the dust minis last week, it was terrible. I was like, I just couldn't get the eyeball right, and I'm normally much better at this, so I was tilting on it. It was annoying. Actually, we'll put you here, because that probably fills in a little better. Ta-da! This was our progress after 2 hours. There's red on it. And she actually has 2 finished minis. Size does matter in this case. The amount the pot gives you for $7.80 a piece, you're better off buying Vallejo or another brand. The minis look good so far. Will we get to see them when they're finished? So the plan, well, okay, so Flo, where do you normally post your pictures?
Instagram.
So you're an Instagram user. I'm technically an Instagram user.
I also have a Facebook page. It posts to there automatically every time I post on Instagram. So
Who are you on Instagram?
I am always the Painter Flo.
The Painter Flo. So you can see her stuff. She's actually really good about posting that. For me, I will also post it on Instagram, but I'm waiting for the miniature to actually be done, and then that kind of takes a little longer. She's more disciplined than I am. So Instagram in both cases.
The bloated lady will finally make her way onto Instagram soon.
Yes.
I haven't put her up yet. I need better pictures.
Should have brought her. Well, I know. That was the whole thing.
I will. I promise.
Put gray over the color. Think about. Oh yeah, for that. All right. Well, thank you guys. Slug Can is great. Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. So, yeah, we'll see you guys in a week and see what we're working on at that point. Thank you guys. Have a good rest of your week. Get some hobbying done, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye.